Welcome to Artist Spotlight, everybody. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Carol Rasheed. She is a film and television makeup department head. How you doing, Carol?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. How you be staying safe and everything, all hunkered in and everything?
And safe. I'm home. I'm not trying to go outside. It's been a beautiful thing, actually. Unfortunately, we have what we have, but it's been great being home.
Well, let's dig into some questions for you, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
What got you interested in pursuing a career in television and film?
You know, what got me interested in television and film? I actually got interested in doing hair. I mean, that's originally how I kind of started out my career is doing hair. I went to barbering school and got my license. I thought I wanted to have my own business and all that stuff. And then at some point, I just thought, oh, you know what? It would be great to work in the entertainment industry. I just had this thought, so lo and behold, I got involved with working in the entertainment business thanks to Disney.
Can you explain? So thanks to Disney?
Thanks to Disney in Orlando. That's where I really got my start, is working for Disney World in the wig department of all places.
Okay.
I didn't realize that I would end up working in the film and television industry. It just so happens when I went to work for Disney, I had already worked, behind the makeup counter for a department store called Moss Brothers. I'm really dating myself because this is like back in the 80s. And, did some makeup from behind the counter. And after that, I went to work for Disney as a wig person in the wig department to help with all the characters that they have. Luckily for me, they ended up putting MGM Studios at Disney World, and Disney actually took a core group of people to train for television and film, because at the time when they put the studios there, ABC would come out and do a lot of their programs, Regis and Kathie Lee, like all these different shows that were on ABC. So they wanted to use people that worked at the parks to basically help them with some of these shows, to work on some of these shows. So that's where I got my training originally. It was myself along with like 14 other people. They chose like a core group of 15 people that they trained to makeup for television and film, makeup and hair, basically.
So basically, you just got a free training class on the back of Disney, huh?
I guess this is during the time that Orlando was supposed to be the next
kind of center or something.
Film kind of place. It was really busy in Orlando, film and television wise. So I just kind of got in as on accident, although there are no accidents.
Yes.
I didn't have in my mind that I was going to be working in television, although to me, working at Disney was working in the entertainment industry. However, who knew? And
that just kind of, the rest is history. You just kind of took job after that kind of thing.
I figured that if I struck out on my own, I could make even more money. That was what was in my mind, that I wanted to be independent and be able to go from show to show, so lo and behold, I did get my training, and then I struck out on my own.
All right. And now let's kind of back up a little bit. Let's talk about your role. You've been a makeup department head, and let's explain what that role is as it relates to the overall production process in film or TV shows or what have you.
Well, makeup department head for television and film, basically as the department head, you have an opportunity to help sell and tell your part of the story within the film or within the television project. So very often, you're responsible for hiring a team to work with you. You're responsible as a department head, for the budgets of the show. You're also responsible for the imagery of what, the actors and the talent is going to look like. Of course, it's a collaborative thing. You have to work with, the directors, you work with the producers, you also work with the costume designer, the hair department, all things collectively come together, to create your part of the story. Everybody has a part that they tell. Makeup tells a certain story. The hair actually tells a certain story. The costumes tell a certain story, and then you kind of marry all that stuff together.
What your job translates into what the director and producer want to tell that story.
Well, research in a project is really, really critical because what you want to do is that you want to have everything be as authentic as possible. Particularly if you're working on a project, that say it happened in the 1920s or the 1930s or the 40s, whatever the circuit is, you really want to go online and look up those images. A lot of the times when it's dealing with something early on, like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, you have to go to the library and pull images. If it's something in the 60s and the 70s, it's the same thing. You really need to do extensive work. Sometimes I watch movies, that happen in that time period. I'll go to, like I said, I'll go to the library, and you just look at things that are online. And then
Hmm.
you also go and look at what the costume department has pulled. A lot of
Hmm.
the time, they're usually hiring on beforehand,
Hmm.
so they'll have imagery that you can kind of, take a look at and
Hmm.
kind of come up with your own idea in terms of what you think, and you kind of try to marry all that stuff together. It's a very collaborative effort when you're doing projects.
If you're on a series versus a film versus a commercial, as far as how your team, as far as how you manage your day.
Well, you know what? That's a very good question because what people sometimes may not realize
Mhm.
is that depending on what medium you're working in, if you're working in commercials, then a commercial may be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days.
Right.
A lot of the times, the commercials are kind of current. So it's a whole different mindset in terms of what you're going to do for a commercial versus doing, say, a period movie.
Hmm.
Something that takes place in the 60s. That's a whole nother animal. We may shoot, for 2 months, 3 months, when you do a feature film, you have like a couple of months a lot of the times, to shoot this footage, and a lot of the times with films, the whole process of getting a film done is a little bit slower. The pace is slower in terms of, you shooting like maybe 2 pages a day
Yeah.
with feature films, with television, episodic television, which is where I spent most of my career,
Hmm.
has been in television. If you can do television, you can do anything. TV is fast. Everything is fast. You may be shooting 8 or 9 pages a day. They don't give you time a lot of the times to change people over. Like, say, if you're going from day one to day seven, and you have to change a makeup look or a hair look. A lot of the times in episodic television, everything is fast. Everything is moving fast. You can't take, it's rare that you can take an hour to do somebody's makeup in television,
Mm.
versus film, you have a little bit more time, you
Right.
have a little more time to be more creative
Mm.
um, in that realm, so it's very different in terms of what happens in the whole process. The great thing as a makeup artist is that you can work in all mediums. You just have to kind of learn what the looks are for each medium because they are slightly different.
So, and then I'm assuming that depending, there's some budgetary things too that.
Absolutely. Well, what, some commercials, to tell you the truth, you can make really great money working in commercials. Is kind of almost comparable to film sometimes. You have a little bit more of a budget, when you're doing a commercial, like when you're doing a film. Film is the one where you may have a little bit more time to be a little bit more creative, and that's really the difference when you're doing film projects versus doing television projects. To,
Yeah.
particularly if people have a family and they're
Mhm.
trying to raise their kids, their children, or what have you, sometimes doing commercials are a better alternative because the thing
Really.
about doing a commercial, like I was saying to you earlier, with commercials, you may go and work 3 days, 4 days, a week, two
Hmm.
days there. And, if you work, like maybe 8 days out of the month, that may be great for you, depending on what your budget is within your home, and it's just an opportunity to go and work a short span of time versus being on a TV series or a TV show, episodic show. A lot of the times, episodic TV shows, you may go to work at 4 a.m. in the morning and you don't get home until 9 at night. That's a very standard kind of day, for the makeup department. We're usually the first ones in and the last one's out. You have to come in early. We always have what's called a pre-call where you get there, you're with the talent first thing in the morning, getting them ready for when it's time for the crew to come in to start filming. So a lot of the times you have a pre-call 1 to 2 hours before the actual crew call. It's a difference. It's very time consuming. So you have to really love it and really be passionate about it, because you spend a lot of time in that, at work.
For episodic, because you're there for the entire season or whatever, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of the times, if it's a very popular show, they're doing 10 episodes, 15 episodes, you may be working, 6 months on that project, 5 or
Right.
6 months on the project.
Exactly.
So when you work on those projects like that, that's what you have time for, to work.
Right.
Because
Right.
every day, 5 days a week, you're going to work, you have pre-calls, you're there 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you are there until, like I said, until the evening. So you leave, you come to work when it's dark, and you leave work when it's dark.
Got it. And you just have to know that block of time, that's whatever months it is, that's work time. Outside, no life. Exactly.
The great thing about episodic, though, is that you really do get the chance to really develop the characters, over seasons. People evolve, the
Right.
characters evolve. They start out, one way, and then the storyline may take them another way, to where, they can start out happy and then they get depressed. It's just a whole range of things that can happen, working in episodic television. It gives you an opportunity to really build on characters. I think a lot of the things that happen, particularly when you're working sometimes with veteran actors, very often, they kind of come in, they kind of know what they want.
Yeah.
You're the person that they see in the morning. So it's very often they'll come in, I may make them a cup of coffee and get them relaxed. You know what I mean? That's the first, place in the first environment that they're going to be in starting out in the morning. So they're at their vulnerable state with you. So veteran actors, they're kind of used to it. They come in, they do whatever it is that they do, they're relaxed, they sit down, you get started with your day. A lot of the times when you have newer actors, that are new to the process, they don't really know. So as a veteran person, I try to help them, make sure that they're comfortable and make
Right.
sure that, that they're secure in what I'm doing, and let them know that I'm there to support them and whatever it is that they want to do for the character or for whatever. I always want them to feel comfortable. That's part of our job, is to make them feel comfortable, make them feel safe, and let them know that we're there to support them doing the best job that they can do. You get people sometimes in your chair, they're crying because they, had a bad morning or what have you. You have to be kind of part of the sounding board for them without getting involved. It's a really personal, close, relationship that you generally, generally end up having with them, only because you're in their space,
Right.
But I always try to remain professional, listen to them. I don't get involved, and I try to support them and be as supportive as I can to help them be able to do their role that they're there to do.
Gotcha. It's kind of like a balance where you're setting the tone, you're keeping a positive atmosphere, but not
Absolutely.
crossing the line to kind of.
The producers, they don't want you to get involved, but they want the talent to feel comfortable. When they come out of that makeup and hair trailer, they want that talent happy. They want to help them start their day great so that they can make their day. What do I look for in my team? First, I think one of the first things is that I look for a good attitude. I think that a good attitude can take you a long way. So having a good attitude is a key thing with me. Being professional, being punctual, and being passionate about what you do, and always having an open mind and heart for learning. Because if you're a working individual and you're a person that's in a position, and you've been blessed, to be in the position to hire teams, people will find you. Specifically here in Atlanta, so much talent here. but like I said, it's really important for people to have a good attitude. After I started working in the industry, I then went to school to learn how to do makeup and special effects and things of that nature. So
Hmm.
many times, I mean, there's been many times where I've hired people, that may have a little bit of background, and I just take them under my wing and train them. So that's why I said I think that having a great attitude is really important,
Right.
because you can't teach somebody to have a great attitude. You can't teach somebody to have great ethics.
Right.
You can't teach somebody how to do makeup. It's great if somebody does continue their education. Education is really important with makeup artistry. I mean, I am always taking a class. I'm taking webinars. I go and train with people when I see people that that's really excellent in certain things, and I may know how to do it, but I see that somebody else that I feel is excellent in it. I'll go and take a class from them. I learn from people that have less experience. Sometimes I may learn certain things from them, and they may learn certain things from me. So
Mhm.
I think it's a give and take kind of thing. You never stop learning.
Can you talk about what you had to learn out of the creative and then the makeup skill set to, managing the team, working with the
Mhm.
producers, doing the budget, all the stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the
Yeah,
creative?
that's a great question, Mars. I think one of the things that I've learned as and I have worked myself up. Like I've worked for
Mhm.
probably 15 years before really becoming a department head all the time. So I've worked in the trenches and background, which is where I think every makeup artist should start, is working with background first. Being in the trenches, doing, a whole bunch of makeup over and over and over again. Then
Mhm.
you just start working your way up. I think that's really the best way to come up, is to start at the bottom and work
Yep.
your way up. And you learn the whole process of how it works when you have to start in the trenches and work your way up. You start as, in background, then you work your way up, as a third or a fourth, and then you eventually get on the trailer where all the principal actors come,
Mhm.
and you just work your way up. Definitely will not be the same, or at least I think it's going to take years for people to get comfortable again. The thing that I've learned from this experience is to diversify yourself. There's so many different things that you can do. It's not just about painting a pretty face. So there's education. Again, you have education online. You have, ebooks. I mean, there are a lot of different things that you can do, because the one thing that I do know is that the knowledge that you have, you can use that knowledge in various ways. And I think that with this pandemic going on, it
Mhm.
has definitely forced those of us that have been in the industry for a long time, or those that are interested in coming in the industry, to
Mhm.
understand it is great to have a skill set that is expansive, right?
Right.
So the more you know, the more valuable you are. And I think
Mm.
that definitely in the positive way, it has absolutely made me look at other opportunities in terms of how I can expand myself and continue to thrive,
Yeah.
after being in the industry for so long. We're still going to do movies. We're still going to do television projects. We're still going to do things that are going to be, people still are going to at some point want entertainment.
Yes.
If you get a chance, come over to the TV and Film Makeup Academy page, tvandfilmmakeupacademy.com.
Okay.
I have some classes on there, and I'm looking to transform some of those classes into online education, because I really think that
Mhm.
that is going to be critical.
Just tell us one last piece of advice for anyone that both wants to enter the industry, maybe trying to are in it, but maybe want to advance like you have.
I think one of the great things, Mars, the advice, if I had to give any advice,
Mhm.
is to stay positive, have a great attitude, and be passionate about what you do, and continue your education. Don't ever give up. It's
Okay.
possible. Anything is possible, with a little bit of elbow grease and work behind it,
Right.
so
All
it's
right.
really critical to just stay focused. Stay focused, and continue your education. Be positive, and just be positive.
Got
Have
it.
a good attitude. Always have a great attitude. It will take you so far.
Well, Kara, I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you'll be a friend to the show. I'm really anxious to work with you in other formats and
And I'm always open to sharing. I mean, I think it's important for us to do that. We have to help usher in these other people. I love giving knowledge and trying to help the next wave of makeup artists that are coming in the industry. It's really important. We need them.
Have a great night. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Laura, so
Mhm.
much.